Hello there, Brick Fanatics. Here is a LEGO Ninjago set, which I think is well worth paying attention to, even if you're not normally the kind of person who pays attention to Ninjago. At Fan Media Days this year, the Ninjago team went hard. I cannot talk about half of the things that they showed off, but it was very clear that they were trying to win Fan Media Days. And amongst the many things that they teased us with was this incredible little blacksmith set. This is a Ninjago Legacy set, a sub-theme which about 5 years ago paid homage to a bunch of cool iconic moments from Ninjago history. Now they're doing it again for the first time since 2021 with this Blacksmith, which is a recreation of the building scene in the very first episode, the pilot episode of the first Ninjago TV show. We've had a Ninjago set based on a blacksmith before, but this one is significantly more fleshed out. It is an entire building that you can turn around 360 degrees and you can see from every single angle, which is just nice to have in and of itself. And for that reason, I get the sense that this might well end up appealing to people outside of the normal Ninjago fan base, because it's going to sit very well into your little Lego city. You know, you've got things like the Ninjago City sets, which generally tend to appeal to people who otherwise might not necessarily touch a Ninjago set. And in the same kind of way, this does something similar in a much smaller package and in a far less urban environment. Now, having been hands-on with this thing myself, I will say it is not a massive set. It is quite a dinky little thing, and certainly it's not quite as expansive as the location from the TV show that you see in that first episode. It is quite a small little build, but there is an awful lot packed in here. You've got little references and Easter eggs. You've got stickers on the walls, which are just brilliant little decorations. I really enjoy some of these. You've got secret little areas that you can open up and explore further, and you've got quite a large number of minifigures for a set that is this diminutive in scale. They're not all living in the blacksmiths unless they're quite cramped, and some of them are sleeping in the rafters. Speaking of the rafters though, this is probably one of my favourite parts of the build. You can take off parts of the roof and reveal this ninja helmet and ninja hood underneath. As for those minifigures though, it's a pretty good lineup. You've got Kai in his blacksmith outfit, as you might expect. You've got his sister Nia, and then you've got Master Wu. Nia, by the way, has got printing on the back for, I think, the first time, and then you've got their parents, and then you've also got this Elemental Earth Master, which is one of those extra bonus minifigures that they're throwing into these for the 15th anniversary of the Ninjago theme. So for fans of Ninjago, there's a lot of nostalgic stuff in here. Jack on this channel did a video a little while ago about how the Ninjago theme is evolving as its audience grows, because the kids who were playing with these sets when they first released in 2011 are now grown-up adults themselves, and as such the needs of this theme are changing over time, much in the same way as we've seen with themes such as Star Wars, classic space and castle in previous years. But as that original Ninjago audience grows and matures, this theme is still proving very popular with younger LEGO fans, kids who are discovering ninjas and LEGO for the first time and having an absolutely brilliant time exploring the nexus point where those two ideas combine. This then I think is going to prove quite popular for Ninjago fans of all ages, younger fans, older fans, people who might not necessarily normally pick up Ninjago, and people who are die-hard fans and are going to get absolutely every reference that is crammed in here. The only real downside for this, and I really want to emphasize this, quite small looking build. It's got over 1,000 elements, but they are all tightly packed and they're not the largest elements. The only downside is the price of this thing, which comes in at an eye-watering £90 in the United Kingdom, $100 in the United States, and €100 in parts of the EU. And that is quite a lot of money for a set that is quite small when you've actually got it all built. You might look at this thing, as I initially did when they showed it off, and think to yourself, that's a nice small alternative to a modular size building, something which is a little bit compact and therefore is going to be a little bit cheaper, takes up a lot less storage space. And certainly it does take up less storage space, but even though this thing is a lot smaller, the fact that it is hitting that $100 mark means that a lot of people who would otherwise love to get their hands on this might have to look at it and say, there are other things I could spend my money on. I know for some people watching, the constant complaints about the price of LEGO does get to be irritating, but for people who are trying to afford these LEGO sets, those prices are irritating as well. The thing that makes this one a little bit more uncomfortable is probably just because of the architecture of the set and the fact that it is quite a lot of elements smushed down into the smallest, most compact possible package, whereas some other Ninjago sets of a relatively similar piece count can luxuriate in big expansive wing elements or big old swords on a mech, something that stands there with a bit of gravitas and a bit of spectacle. This is a relatively unassuming set. It's a cute little build. It's not something that I would necessarily call palatial, if you get my drift. Nevertheless, of everything that was shown off by the Ninjago team at Fan Media Days, this one was my favourite. And in fact, looking at a bunch of the other things that were revealed at Fan Media Days, this is probably one of my favourite builds across any theme that we saw. I do really like it. It's just frustrating that it is going to be a little bit too expensive for a lot of people to be able to justify.
This might be the most exciting Ninjago set I have seen in a while. Look at this. All the way around. Front and the back, which is very good. Closes, opens, stuff inside here, such cool blacksmithy detail in there. I'm a big fan of the sets that turn into buildings in such a way where you can wrap them all up and then they can just drop into a modular cityscape or some other kind of cityscape. This is very nice. And the fact that it's so small as well, I love the size of this thing because it's not going to break the bank, hopefully. It's going to be a relatively affordable set, both in terms of the actual cost of it, but also in terms of the shelf space that it takes up, because this is a lot smaller than, say, a modular building, which is going to take up a lot more room. But then, because it's so compact, it's not like it's lacking details either. It is filled up with all of this cool stuff, both on the inside and the outside. And I quite like a set that opens up like a doll's house. This is very clever.
As with a lot of the other sets that were shown off at Fan Media Days, I will leave you with the designers themselves revealing this thing to everybody. This one was part of a larger presentation, and so it was a little bit whistle-stop where they were like, here's a thing, here's another thing. So you can see that little chunk, but the rest of the presentation will have to remain a secret for the moment. Otherwise, do let us know what you think of the new Ninjago Blacksmith set. Leave a comment down below and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you're going to be purchasing this or anything else Ninjago or anything else LEGO related in the near future from the LEGO website, you can use the affiliate link in the description or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Just helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics, helps to keep us making content. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things LEGO and sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Now I will turn the time over to the LEGO designers as they show off the Blacksmith set themselves.
Okay, so hi again, I'm Lee. I'm a model designer at Ninjago. I'm super excited to show you guys this model. I've been waiting for 2 years to talk about this. And without further ado... Yo! This is 71858 Four Weapons Blacksmith. For those of you who are not a hardcore Ninjago fan in the room, you may not recognize this humble-looking blacksmith shop. But this is the location where the very first scene of the very first episode of Ninjago happened. And for those of you who are Ninjago fans in the room, I hope I delivered, because I believe this is a model that you've been waiting for 15 years. So this model is designed to be a complete model, so you can display and look at it at any angle. And to access the interior, you don't lift the roof, but instead you swing it open. Oh. And then this chunk of roof you can pick up, so you can access the interior, which is full of details and references that I will save for the interviews later. But there's a feature here where there's a button in the roof. When you press it, the sign falls off and reveals the all-important map of the golden weapons.
That's gorgeous.
I think this model is also pretty unique in the sense that we don't always do models at this scale, which is quite close to minifigure scale. So of course we have to fill it up with minifigures. And this set comes with 5 minifigures. Wow. Yes. And of course we have the trio from the opening scene, so we have Master Wu, remade from the Palace seasons, and we have Blacksmith Kai, finally with the actual Blacksmith Kai torso. And then we also have Pilot Season Nia, who has back printing this time. So. And then we also brought back their parents, Ray and Maya, and Ray for the first time has the Serpentine War flashback outfit, so hopefully fans are excited about this. But with all these Legacy sets, we also have this exclusive collectible, which is part of the thing you saw earlier. and you get to collect them and build the stands together. And you will find out later what this is.